Hello, my name is Abigail Thomas, and today we'll be talking about the research I did in this class, specifically how stereotypes in Hollywood affect African Americans. Now, my goal in my research was to first see if this was a problem. I had the idea, and I knew that stereotypes were used quite frequently in Hollywood, but I wanted to find out for myself how these stereotypes affected different kinds of groups. And eventually I honed in that I wanted to specifically focus on how stereotypes affected African Americans. And the information that I found was astounding. Not only was Hollywood controlling how African Americans were portrayed, but they were also controlling how other groups were portrayed, like Middle Easterners and people from Latin American countries. And there were so many harmful stereotypes being used in movies. And one of the first major things that I found was that Hollywood controls the narrative. In her 2022 article, Racial Stereotypes Are a Driving Force in Hollywood, Bridget Maxwell does a great job of summarizing what Hollywood does in one sentence. She says, Hollywood is a driving force in the creation of false narratives and irrational fears. She points out that films that have nothing to do with racial issues or African American stories will find a way to portray them negatively or in a stereotypical way. On the screen are some examples of films that either portray African Americans negatively or give them stereotypical roles. So The Littlest Rebel and The Bell Star, they portray African Americans negatively. They make them look silly and unintelligent in their movies. And then on the right we have the movie The Legend of Bagger Vance, which gives an African American man the stereotypical role of being a magical guide. And then we have Training Day, which gives an African American man the stereotypical role of being a thug. Now, the media has real power on what people believe. In the Blackwell Companion to Social Inequalities, Chapter 20, it says those who control the media shape and define a society's discourse about race and race relations. The media really does control how people view certain groups. And that's kind of goes into the next biggest thing that I learned is recognizing these racial stereotypes and recognizing that they are stereotypes. No individual person can stop Hollywood from continuing to put these stereotypes in their movies. However, we can do research and choose to form our own opinions on people based off of their actions and not based on how they're portrayed in movies. In the graph above, I know it's a little bit blurry, it's from Statistica, and it's a poll on the importance of movies avoiding racial stereotypes according to the adults in the United States as of May 2019 by ethnicity. So the poll went through and asked people of different ethnicities how important they thought it was that um, racial stereotypes be avoided in movies. And 36% of African Americans thought it was very important. That's what the lighter blue color is. And then blue is important, and then so on. So African Americans out of any other racial group think it's the most important that these racial stereotypes are avoided. And I think that's very telling because they are so often stereotyped in movies. Now, in conclusion, Hollywood controls how people view each other, and it's important to recognize these stereotypes in movies. We can't stop Hollywood from putting stereotypes in movies. However, we can choose to control how we let these stereotypes reflect back on our behavior towards others, and we can spread awareness. It's our job to not treat others badly based on how movies portray them. So thank you very much.